In this comprehensive video, we'll delve into the intricate design elements, unravel the historical context surrounding its minting, discuss its collectability and value, and uncover the enduring appeal of this iconic piece of British currency. Today, we're taking a closer look at the 1969 U.S. Lincoln Center, a humble yet intriguing piece of American numismatics. What makes this seemingly common coin worth exploring? Join us as we uncover its history, unique design, and potential value to collectors. The year 1969 was an iconic one in American history. It marked the first moon landing, the height of the civil rights movement, and the continuation of the Vietnam War. During this period of great social and political change, the U.S. Mint continued its annual production of coins, including the Lincoln Cent. By 1969, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for 60 years, having been introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The coin was designed by Victor David Brenner, and its obverse, featuring Lincoln's profile, had become a staple of American currency. In 1969, the Lincoln cent was still made primarily for circulation, with the U.S. Mint producing millions of these pennies to meet the growing demand for coinage. While it wasn't a particularly special year in terms of minting, the 1969 Lincoln Center is still a noteworthy piece of American numismatic history. Let's start by taking a closer look at the design of the 1969 Lincoln Center. On the obverse, we have the iconic right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has remained largely unchanged since its introduction in 1909. Brenner's depiction of Lincoln is both dignified and simple, paying homage to one of America's most revered presidents. Above Lincoln's head, we see the national motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that became a permanent fixture on U.S. coins in the 1950s. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word liberty, and to the right, the year of minting, 1969. Now, turning the coin over to the reverse side, we see the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears design. The Lincoln Memorial is depicted in fine detail, with the words United States of America and the denomination, 1 cent, surrounding it. If you look closely at the Lincoln Memorial on the coin, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue inside, a remarkable feature considering the size of the coin. The 1969 Lincoln Center was minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can distinguish coins from these different mints by looking for the mint mark, a small letter found below the date. Philadelphia minted coins have no mint mark, Denver coins have a D, and San Francisco coins have an S. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced the bulk of the 1969 pennies, with the San Francisco mint striking a much smaller number, primarily for proof sets. In terms of composition, the 1969 Lincoln Center is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition had been in use since 1962 and would continue until 1982, when the rising cost of copper led the U.S. Mint to switch to a primarily zinc composition with a copper coating. At 3.11 grams in weight and 19 millimeters in diameter, the 1969 penny is typical of the Lincoln Cent series. Its copper-rich composition gives the coin a distinctive reddish-brown appearance, which can deepen or fade depending on wear and exposure to the elements. While most 1969 pennies are common and readily available, there is one particular variety that has captured the attention of collectors, the 1969's doubled die obverse penny. This rare error coin was produced at the San Francisco Mint and features a noticeable doubling of the design on the obverse. This doubling is particularly evident in the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," as well as the date. Because of its rarity and the dramatic nature of the doubling, The 1969's doubled die obverse penny is one of the most sought-after error coins in the Lincoln cent series. High-grade examples can fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction, making it a true treasure for collectors. In fact, in 2018, one of these coins sold for over $100,000 in a major auction. So, if you happen to have a 1969's penny, it's worth taking a closer look. You just might have a valuable doubled die variety in your possession. So, what is a 1969 penny worth today? Well, for the most part, circulated 1969 pennies are only worth their face value 1 cent. Given the high mintage numbers and the fact that these coins are still relatively easy to find, a typical 1969 penny doesn't carry much additional value. However, uncirculated 1969 pennies, especially those in higher grades, can be worth more. A mint state 1969 penny, graded MS65 or higher, might sell for 10 to 20 or more, depending on its condition and demand. As with any coin, the value of a 1969 penny depends largely on its grade. Coins with full luster, sharp details, and minimal wear will always command higher prices than those that are heavily circulated or damaged. While the 1969 Lincoln Center might not be the rarest or most valuable coin, it's still a great addition to any collection, especially for those interested in the history of U.S. coinage. Completing a full set of Lincoln cents from the 20th century can be a rewarding challenge, and the 1969 penny is an important piece of that puzzle. For beginner collectors, the 1969 penny is easy to find and inexpensive, making it an accessible starting point. And for seasoned collectors, the possibility of discovering a 1969's doubled die obverse penny adds an element of excitement to the search. The 1969 U.S. Lincoln Center is a reminder of America's enduring history and the important role that pennies have played in our daily lives. Whether you're collecting for fun or searching for rare varieties, this small coin carries a big story. Do you have a 1969 penny in your collection? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more coin guides, history, and collecting tips. To most people, a penny is just pocket change, but did you know that certain 1969 pennies could be worth far more than their face value today? We'll explore the history, design, and what makes some 1969 1-cent coins incredibly valuable. Stick around to find out how a simple penny could be worth thousands of dollars. The year 1969 was a momentous time in American history. It was the year when humans first set foot on the moon, and the U.S. was deeply involved in the Vietnam War. But while these events were making headlines, the United States Mint in Denver was busy producing millions of pennies, specifically, the 1969 Lincoln Cent. At first glance, the 1969 penny looks like any other 1-cent coin. The obverse features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This classic portrait has been in use on the penny since 1909, marking Lincoln's 100th birthday. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. If you look closely, you can even spot a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a fascinating detail that often goes unnoticed. But what makes the 1969 penny special? First, let's talk about the mint mark. The D stands for the Denver Mint, where this particular coin was produced. In 1969, the Denver Mint struck over 4 billion pennies, making it one of the most common 1-cent coins in circulation. With such a high mintage, most 1969 pennies are only worth their face value, just 1 cent. However, as with many coins, there are some rare varieties and high-grade examples that can fetch significantly higher prices, sometimes reaching into the thousands. One of the most important factors that determine a coin's value is its condition. In the world of coin collecting, pennies are graded on a scale ranging from poor to mint state MS. A 1969 D penny in circulated condition is usually worth only a few cents, but if you find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially with a grade of MS 65 or higher, its value can skyrocket. For example, a 1969 D penny in mint state 67 condition can be worth around 100 to 200. However, that's not where the big money is. The real excitement comes from rare error coins, and one error in particular has made headlines in the numismatic community. The holy grail of 1969 pennies is the famous 1969's double die obverse. This particular variety was struck at the San Francisco Mint, but it's worth mentioning because of its rarity and value. In this error, the doubling is clearly visible on the date, as well as on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. This double die variety has sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, a high-grade example of the 1969's double die obverse sold for a staggering $126,500. While the 1969 D penny doesn't have this specific error, it's worth keeping an eye out for any unusual features. Coins with die cracks, off-center strikes, or other minting mistakes can also fetch higher prices. So, how do you know if your 1969 D penny is worth more than 1 cent? First, check its condition. Coins that are worn from circulation are generally not worth much, but if you come across an uncirculated example, it's worth having it graded by a professional. Professional grading services, such as PCGS or NGC, can help determine the exact condition of your coin and give it an official grade. A higher grade means a higher value, and having your coin authenticated can make it easier to sell at auction or to collectors. Let's talk about the auction prices for 1969 D pennies. In recent years, high-grade examples of the 1969 D penny have sold for impressive sums. In mint state, these pennies can go for anywhere from 100 to 200, depending on the grade. For instance, a 1969 D penny in MS67 condition was recently sold for 165 at auction. And while that may not sound like a fortune, it's a huge leap from just 1 cent. However, keep in mind that only a small number of 1969 D pennies are found in this high of a grade. Most circulated coins won't fetch these prices, but for those lucky enough to discover a well-preserved example, it could be a nice windfall. While the 1969 D penny may not have the fame of the 1969's double die, it's still a coin worth looking out for. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone sifting through pocket change, you never know when you might find a hidden gem. And remember, the condition and any potential errors could mean the difference between a penny that's worth 1 cent and one that's worth hundreds. So next time you come across a 1969 D penny, take a closer look. It might just be worth more than you think. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more coin collecting tips and stories. And if you've ever found a rare or valuable penny, share your story in the comments below.